My cousin, Olivia, fell for my jerk ex-boyfriend. I tried to warn her many times, but she wouldn't listen. She even abandoned me in a terrible situation, lit fire, her eyes red, telling me to die. This time, I just stood by. I wanted to see what kind of future she and that jerk ex of mine could possibly have. I was lazily taking a nap on the weekend when a call woke me up. From the other end came Aunt Sarah's exasperated voice. Ellie, you and Olivia are close. She's been running out every other day lately, and she won't tell me why. She's so young, but already she won't listen to anyone. The sound of a glass being thrown against the door from over there startled me. Olivia yelled angrily, "Get out. My business is none of yours." Seeing how serious things were, it looked like the mother and daughter were about to come to blows any second. I quickly got up and got dressed. Aunt Sarah, don't worry. Olivia is a good kid, she wouldn't do anything out of line. I'll go talk to her, it'll be fine. I hung up and immediately called Olivia. But there was no answer for a long time. I decided to just drive over. When she saw me arrive, Aunt Sarah wiped away tears and sighed in relief. She's hiding in her room and won't come out. Nothing I say helps. I patted Aunt Sarah's back to comfort her, trying the doorknob at the same time. The door seemed locked. I twisted the handle for ages, but it didn't budge. I knocked and called her name, but she didn't respond. If you don't open the door, I'll use the key. From inside, Olivia's voice called out, you can't open it. The key is with me. I looked at Aunt Sarah, who nodded helplessly. Okay, no problem. I can call a locksmith. Silence fell from the other side. She froze for 3 seconds, then the door opened automatically. I carried a glass of warm milk inside. The room was dark and suffocating. Olivia had pulled all the curtains shut, not a sliver of light getting through. The room was ink red. Ibly messy, everything in unexpected places. Her backpack was thrown in the trash can, her stationery scattered on the bed. Even Olivia's perfect score test papers were torn into pieces and scattered across the floor. Olivia sat casually on the edge of the bed, her hair a messy hair, wearing pajamas. I tiptoed over and placed the milk on the bedside table. Before I could even set the glass down properly, she threw it onto the floor. The glass shards that flew up hit my ankle with pinpoint accuracy. Blood welled up, instantly staining the paper scraps on the floor red. I cried out in pain, clutching my ankle. But she was like a statue, not even blinking. She wasn't like this before. I'm 5 years older than her, the closest in age among our generation in the family. In a way, we grew up together. Since she was little, she was always sticking to me like a tag-along. If there was anything good to eat or drink, she'd think of me before her own parents. She was definitely not the cold-blooded monster she is now. I used some tissue paper to wipe myself off a bit and sat down to try and comfort her. But she recoiled sharply. What's wrong, Olivia? Can you talk to Cousin Eleanor? I asked softly. You're bad guys my mom sent. None of you will let me go out. Are you trying to trap me in this house? Before she'd said more than a couple of sentences, Olivia's tears started falling, one by one. I tried to use a tissue to wipe them away, but she flinched away. How could I be a bad person? I'm here to help you fix things, aren't I? I leaned in, trying to placate her, but she shoved me onto the floor. She grabbed a book, pointed it at me, and yelled, "Get out. All of you, get out. I don't want to see any of you." I lay on the floor, staring up at her blankly. I couldn't understand how a polite little girl who normally used polite terms, like please and thank you, / politeness when she spoke had turned into this. Seeing that I wasn't moving, Olivia swung the book towards me. I dodged out of the way, so it didn't hit me, but a photo fell out of the book. As luck would have it, I knew the person in the photo. The person in the photo was none other than my ex-boyfriend. I picked up the photo from the floor. What's this photo about? Olivia glanced at the photo clutched in my hand, then lunged at me like a madwoman to grab it. What's wrong with you? Spying on someone's privacy. I dodged, and she missed. You like him? That's none of your business. With that, Olivia lunged again, trying to snatch it. But she was a head shorter than me. Before she could reach me, I held her forehead back with my hand. Tell me the truth, and I'll give you the photo back. This seemed to reassure Olivia. Really? I raised an eyebrow. Do you have another choice? I sat on the chair beside the bed, playing with the photo in my hand. We're dating, she confessed honestly. I scoffed, leaving aside how young you are to be dating. Do you even know who he is before you jump into this? I don't need to know who he is. All I know is he's good to me, and I like him. Why can't we be together? I sighed and tapped Olivia's head. Olivia, did your top of her class brain get filled with water? You're in your senior year, you'll be in college next year. What kind of good men can't you find once you're in college? Why do you have to be with a lowlife now? Olivia winced, clutching her head, and lunged to claw at me, but I pushed her back down. Don't you dare talk about him like that. You don't even know him, what right do you have to say that? Olivia sat on the bed, pouting angrily. Dylan, male, 28 years old, rough around the edges, handsome, owns an auto shop near Central High. Am I wrong? Olivia froze, too stunned to speak for a long moment. How did you know? Because he's my ex-boyfriend, I said, looking calmly at Olivia. So what? You already broke up. Me dating him isn't against the law, and it doesn't cross any moral lines. What right do you have to stop us? Actually, nothing. If you want to date, I can introduce you to any of my other ex-boyfriends. Just not him. Looking at the stubborn Olivia, I was so angry I tore the photo in my hand to shreds. The photo pieces scattered on the floor, mixing with her perfect score test paper. Olivia plopped down onto the floor, scrambling to gather the photo pieces, crying so hard that tears and snot ran together. You said you'd give it back if I told you the truth. Why did you tear it up? Seeing her like that, my heart instantly softened. She was the little one I practically raised, with a soft, cute face, a quiet, gentle nature, and she was always top of her class academically. Teachers and parents alike always praised her. Even strangers who just met her couldn't find anything bad to say about her. This excellent girl, now groveling on the floor, crying her eyes out over a photo of a man. This wasn't her. This wasn't the Olivia I knew. Frustrated, I said, honestly, I broke up with him back then because he had a terrible character. With his looks, he got several girls hooked, one after another. And the result? Some got pregnant, some broke up, and even the ones who married him didn't last 3 months before getting divorced. I crouched down, speaking gently. Olivia, you have such a bright future ahead of you. Don't be foolish over someone like this. Olivia crumpled the photo in her hand into a ball and turned to look at me without a word. Promise me, okay? I took the wrong path, and I don't want you to go down it too. I looked at her sincerely, wishing I could tear my heart out and show it to her. She blinked her red, tear-filled eyes and slapped me hard. Who do you think you are? What right do you have to tell me what to do? With that, she ran out like a maniac. Aunt Sarah came out of the kitchen, confused. What happened? Why did things get worse? Afraid Olivia might do something foolish. I didn't stop to explain, just grabbed my bag and ran after her. As I went out the doorway, Olivia had just gotten into a taxi. I stood in the doorway, yelling myself hoarse, but Olivia ignored me completely, getting into the taxi without lifting her head. I was still worried. Helpless, I could only chase after her in my car. I called Olivia's phone over and over, but she hung up every single time. Looking at my face, red from the slap, in the rearview mirror, I felt a mix of sadness and helplessness. The little girl had really grown up. Before, she couldn't even unscrew a bottle cap by herself. Now, a single slap could leave such a deep mark on my face. The taxi twisted and turned, finally stopping near the auto shop near Central High. The shop was closed tight, not a soul around. Olivia didn't give up, pounding on the door over and over. Dylan, open up. Dylan. I sat in the car, watching her knock again and again until her voice was hoarse, but no one responded. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore. I grabbed a bottle of bottled water and got out. Can't you see the door is closed? Are you stupid, still knocking? I unscrewed the cap and handed her the bottled water. Drink some water, wet your throat before you yell again. She just gave me a look, then splashed the water directly onto me. I don't need your fake kindness. It was December, the highest temperature still several degrees below freezing. The ice-cold bottled water ran down my hair and into my neck, instantly making me feel like I'd stepped into an ice house. A cold wind blew, and I pulled my collar tighter, trying to keep the wind from getting down my neck. Fighting back a shiver, I forcibly pulled her into the passenger seat. Olivia tried to open the car door, but I immediately locked it. Stay put and behave yourself. You're not going anywhere today, I warned, tapping the car window. I went around to the driver's seat. The first thing I did after getting in was turn on the heat. At first, Olivia struggled fiercely, but finding she couldn't get out, she gradually quieted down. Once she was quiet, I started the car. The whole way, we were both silent, a strange understanding between us. Just as we were approaching the last traffic light before turning onto the main road, I saw someone. It was Dylan. He was carrying bags, kissing a girl passionately under a streetlight, completely oblivious to the world. I quickly turned the car around, not wanting Olivia to see, but it was too late. She started muttering like she was losing her mind. Dylan? No, it can't be him. He said he loved me, he said he only loved me. I pretended not to hear, planning to take a different, smaller road to go around. Unexpectedly, Olivia suddenly lunged at me, grabbing for the steering wheel. Go back. Turn back. I need to see if it's him with my own eyes. Hurry, go back. I controlled the steering wheel with one hand, while using the other to pry her hands off it. Olivia, calm down. This is dangerous, let go. But she acted like she couldn't hear, repeating, go back. I need to see if it's him with my own eyes. Seeing the car becoming more and more uncontrollable, I could only agree, let go, and I'll turn back, okay? But she wouldn't listen at all, muttering crazily, liars. You're all liars. I have to go back and see for myself. The car finally lost control, swerving wildly down the small road before crashing into a large tree. Almost the instant the car came to a stop, thick smoke started billowing from the front, with even some sparks. I fought to keep my eyes open and stay conscious, but my body was stuck in the car, unable to move. Olivia, who was in the passenger seat, seemed unharmed. She smashed the window and was halfway out of the car. I struggled with all my might, but my body wouldn't budge even an inch. Olivia, help me. In the last moment before Olivia climbed completely out the window, I screamed at her with all my strength. She stood outside the window, staring blankly at me, her eyes as cold as a stranger's. Her mouth moved, but I couldn't hear a word she was saying. But I recognized the words from her lip shape. You deserve this. Go to hell. 3 seconds later, Olivia turned decisively and walked away. Watching the sparks fly from the front of the car, I closed my eyes in despair. On this deserted little road, even she wasn't willing to help me. Even if someone did pass by, who would be willing to help me? Perhaps from the pain, or perhaps from the smoke of the fire. I drifted into unconsciousness. In my dream, Olivia and Dylan stood before me, holding hands. Dylan held Olivia close, looking at me with a smug expression. Eleanor, your high and mighty attitude and looking down on me didn't do you any good. Now your cousin, Olivia, is crazy about me, head over heels. How about that? Are you mad? Olivia giggled shyly in Dylan's arms, then pulled a lighter from her pocket, lit it, and walked towards me step by step. Eleanor, who do you think you are, trying to tell me what to do? You deserve this. Go to hell. Then she threw the lighter at me, watching my body being swallowed by the flames little by little. The two of them embraced, laughing and kissing, utterly happy. I woke up with a scream, only to find myself in a hospital room. Aunt Sarah, who was peeling an apple by the bed, was overjoyed to see I was awake. She dropped the apple and practically threw herself on me. Ellie, you're finally awake. How did the car just suddenly catch fire? If it weren't for those few construction workers passing by, you would have lost your life. The light in my eyes extinguished the moment I heard construction workers. So she really had left, leaving me there alone. Where's Olivia? Wasn't she with you? Before I could even catch my breath, Aunt Sarah pressed on. I frowned, looking at her. Didn't she go home? She left before the car caught fire. Not getting the answer she wanted, Aunt Sarah's face instantly changed. I asked you to come over and talk to my daughter. Now look what's happened. You talked her into running away. She didn't even hold on to the apple in her hand, dropping it onto the arm where I had an IV drip. A large lump instantly swelled up on the back of my hand. Luckily, a sharp-eyed nurse nearby noticed what happened and quickly pushed Aunt Sarah away to reinsert my IV. What kind of parent are you? The patient just woke up and needs rest. Why are you so worked up? You nearly broke the needle with that hit. But Aunt Sarah completely ignored the nurse's complaints, still muttering furiously, I'm not letting you get away with losing my daughter. You better give me an answer right away, or I'll come here and hassle you every day. If you don't take responsibility, I'll go bother your parents. Someone has to be accountable. Even after being blocked outside the door by the nurse, Aunt Sarah was still peering through the window on the door, shouting, Eleanor, give me back my daughter. I lay in bed and scoffed. So I went through all that trouble, got slapped, nearly froze, and even went through the gates of hell, only to end up like this. Just goes to show, never get involved in other people's business. Interfering in someone else's karma means paying a corresponding price. But since I'm already involved, how can I be the only one to pay the price? Actually, my injuries weren't that serious. Fortunately, I was found in time, so there was no further injury. So I was only in the hospital for 2 days before being discharged. On the day I was discharged, Aunt Sarah showed up at my front door right on time, just as expected, to block me. Aunt Sarah was squatting at my front door. It's all because of you. Olivia still hasn't come home. If you don't give me back Olivia today, we're going to the police station. I chuckled, raising an eyebrow at her. Aunt Sarah, I've always respected you as an elder and never said a harsh word, but you constantly give me a hard time. Fine, you want to go to the police station? Let's go. We can get the surveillance footage there and see whose fault this car accident was. Seeing that I was serious and angry, Aunt Sarah didn't dare speak. Instead, she just lay down on the ground and started throwing a tantrum. Eleanor, I wasted my affection on you. Look at you now, all grown up, your wings are hard. Not only do you dare talk back to your elders, but you even incited my daughter to run away. You're just a born troublemaker. She was speaking very loudly, causing neighbors in the hallway to peek out and look. I wasn't afraid. I stood there, arms crossed, watching her performance. Go ahead and yell. Yell as loud as you want. I've got plenty of time. But I don't know if your daughter can wait. She's staying with a lowlife right now, who knows if she's safe. I sat on my suitcase, looking down at my phone. Hearing this, Aunt Sarah instantly lost her composure. She scrambled up from the ground, first shooing away the onlookers, then snatched my phone. She said with a serious expression, "What did you say? Where is my daughter? Take me to her right now." I smiled slightly, "But my suitcase is still here. You're blocking the doorway, where should I put it?" Aunt Sarah smartly moved aside, creating a gap. I slowly and deliberately took out the key and opened the door. Seeing how slow I was, Aunt Sarah, in her impatience, grabbed my suitcase and dragged it inside. I smiled. Turns out she wasn't completely hopeless. Soon after, we drove together to Dylan's auto shop. Before we even got out of the car, we saw Olivia clinging to Dylan's arm from a distance, acting spoiled, and the next second she leaned in and kissed him. Aunt Sarah saw all of this. Before she even got out, Aunt Sarah let out a roar. "Olivia! What do you think you're doing?" Before Olivia could even react or try to escape, Aunt Sarah was on her in a few steps, grabbing her by the ear and dragging her back. Olivia wouldn't give up, clinging to Dylan's arm and refusing to let go. "Dylan, help me." But Dylan just stood there, completely still, like a statue. It wasn't that he couldn't handle Aunt Sarah. It was that he simply couldn't be bothered. After all, a refined egoist like him wouldn't get involved in something that wasn't about himself. In fact, Olivia being taken back was probably better for him. That way, it wouldn't interfere with him finding his next victim. Just like that, Olivia was taken back home. The moment they got inside, she couldn't escape a beating. It wasn't that Aunt Sarah wouldn't hit Olivia, it was that she usually couldn't bring herself to. But this time, Olivia had gone too far, beyond the control she'd had for over a decade. If she wasn't disciplined properly now, she'd truly be completely out of control. But after all this, Olivia absolutely hated me, and she hated her mother too. She locked herself in her room and refused to eat, wouldn't eat or drink. She even made a dramatic declaration: "If you don't let me go see Dylan, I'll starve myself to death right here in this room." This panicked Aunt Sarah. She paced back and forth in the room, not knowing what to do. I sat calmly on the stool, watching her pace from one end of the room to the other and back again. Without saying a word. "Don't just sit there like a statue. Your sister is refusing to eat, do something." I stared blankly at the closed door. "She's only saying that because she's not hungry enough. When she gets hungry, she'll come out to find food." A slap landed on me, not hard, not light. "If that's how you talk, why did I even ask you to come? Should I leave, then?" I stood up immediately. Aunt Sarah pushed me back down. "This whole thing started because of you. You can't leave until it's resolved." I leaned back in the chair, finding it a little funny. Olivia found her own boyfriend. She ran away from home herself. How did I, the one you dragged here to solve the problem, become the one who caused it? But I didn't say that out loud. Leaving now, after doing nothing. For me, it felt a bit unsatisfying. I carried a glass of hot milk, using the same trick. The door opened, but the person inside absolutely refused to let me in. "Are you really not going to let me in? Don't you want to hear how you can be with your Dylan?" I leaned closer, whispering so only she could hear. Her eyes lit up instantly. Before Aunt Sarah could say anything, she yanked me inside. The room was still incredibly suffocating, without a single ray of light. I walked over and, without a word, yanked open the curtains. Light flooded in instantly. Olivia walked over, looking displeased, but she didn't dare say anything. I held out the milk to her, giving her a look that told her to come get it herself. She was smart after all, she wisely took the milk. But then I accidentally didn't hold the milk steady, and it spilled entirely onto her hand. Olivia cried out, startled by the heat, and recoiled. Then she accidentally stepped on a pen on the floor, and Olivia fell straight down. She got a big bump. She couldn't hold back anymore and burst into tears. Outside, Aunt Sarah was anxiously pounding on the door. What's wrong, Olivia? Did cousin Eleanor bully you? Open the door, and Mom will handle her. I glared at her. She clamped her mouth shut in fear, then yelled back angrily through her pain, I don't need you to tell me what to do. I smiled slightly and gave her a thumbs up. She stood up, rubbing the back of her head where she'd bumped it, which was red and swollen, and threatened, You said you had a plan. Tell me now, or I'll push you out and hand you over to my mom. Seeing her attitude had improved, I didn't hide it anymore. Since Aunt Sarah doesn't agree to you being with Dylan, it just means you're going about it in the wrong order. If you flip the order around, you might get results. Flip the order? Exactly. You need to act first and ask for permission later, make it a done deal. I raised an eyebrow at Olivia. 10 minutes later, I walked out of the bedroom holding Olivia's hand. Are you still sad, Olivia? Mom was just worried. Aunt Sarah walked over and stroked Olivia's head. But Olivia flinched away. Don't worry, Mom, I've come to terms with it. Olivia answered, pretending to be good. Her natural act left me speechless. After all, before this, she was a little girl who even stammered when she lied. What spell did Dylan cast on her to turn her into this? Your daughter is fine now, it's not my problem anymore. So, I'll be going? I shrugged, just wanting to get out of this hellhole. Of course, Ellie. I just finished cooking. Stay and eat before you go. Aunt Sarah's malicious look vanished, replaced by a face full of smiles. I gave her a weak smile and shook my head as I left. After that, I had a few rare days of peace, a silver lining from the accident. Because of the car accident, my company gave me a few extra days off. Without a second thought, I bought plane tickets and flew to the Maldives with my best friend that very night. Beaches, beautiful women, bikinis. Life there was incredibly enjoyable, like stepping into paradise. It wasn't until 10 days later that a phone call interrupted my sweet dream. Eleanor, come back quickly. Olivia is pregnant. She said you told her to do it. I knew Olivia, being so good, couldn't possibly do something this messed up. You have to explain yourself today. Aunt Sarah started ranting nastily on the other end of the line. I just hung up. Less than 2 seconds later, the phone kept ringing insistently again. I hung up, blocked the number, and took out the SIM card. The whole process was smoothly. Instantly, the world went silent. I lay back comfortably on the lounge chair, sipping my drink. Now this is how a vacation should be. It wasn't until the end of my vacation that I packed my suitcase and returned home. So I packed my suitcase and flew back home. Aunt Sarah was like she knows my every move, always managing to figure out exactly where I was. I hadn't even left the airport before I was cornered by Aunt Sarah. You little brat. You ruined your sister's life like this, and you had the nerve to travel abroad? The moment she saw me, Aunt Sarah started hitting me fiercely. Though people around were in a hurry, they were also curiously craning their necks to look our way. I quickly covered her mouth and whispered in her ear, If you want to ruin your daughter's reputation for everyone to hear, I won't stop you. Go ahead and shout, let the whole world know. I took my hand away, and she smartly shut up. We called a cab and drove back to Aunt Sarah's house, silent the whole way. It wasn't until we got out of the cab that Aunt Sarah slapped the back of my head. Was it you? Did you egg my daughter on to do this mess? Aren't you ashamed? I shrugged, looking innocent. She's the one who did it. What does that have to do with me? She wanted to say more, but I just walked past her and went into Olivia's bedroom. The curtains were still completely drawn. Olivia was lying on the bed with the blanket pulled over her head, but her pillow was already soaked with tears. She only stirred when she saw I was there. You said this would let me be with him. You lied. I gently stroked her head. Don't worry. This is just the first step. You did great. But I need your help with the second step. Olivia crawled out from under the blanket, looking at me with confusion. Don't come any closer. If you do, I'll kill myself right in front of you. Aunt Sarah was still in the kitchen cutting vegetables. Hearing the commotion, she hurried over. Olivia was standing on the bed, holding a small knife to her wrist and backing away cautiously. The glass was shattered on the floor. Oh my God, what are you doing now? Get down from there. Aunt Sarah carefully shuffled forward, trying to coax Olivia down. Don't come any closer. If you do, I'll slit my wrists and kill myself. You'll have to watch your own daughter die right in front of you. With that, Olivia made a movement as if to cut her wrist. This action terrified Aunt Sarah, who backed away repeatedly. Okay, Mom won't come closer. We can talk about this, darling, my precious. Please don't do anything rash. Mom, you say I'm your darling, but isn't he my darling too? Making me get rid of him is like making me a murderer. Olivia gently stroked her belly, her face already soaked with tears. Aunt Sarah seemed to waver. She looked back at me, and I nodded vigorously in agreement. If Dylan and I separate, my child won't have a father. How will he live? How will he find happiness? Anyway, I don't care. If you don't agree to let me marry Dylan, I'll kill myself right now. Olivia raised the small knife into the air. The next second, the small knife touched Olivia's wrist, and a little blood seeped out. Okay, I agree. I'll agree to whatever you say. Aunt Sarah, filled with heartache, slowly walked towards Olivia, snatched the small knife away, and held Olivia close, crying. Olivia hid in Aunt Sarah's arms, giving me a look that said her plan worked. The period that followed was a rushed phase of wedding preparations. Because she was pregnant, Olivia dropped out of Central High and began the life of a housewife she'd always dreamed of. At this point, the situation didn't have much to do with me anymore, so I returned to my monotonous work routine. Busy with work, busy with life, simple and rushed, but peaceful and happy. It wasn't until a month later that I suddenly got a call from Olivia. Cousin Eleanor, where are you? Come save me. Dylan is going to kill me. Olivia was sobbing uncontrollably. I wanted to ask something, but she just hung up. When I called back, there was no answer. I called the police, threw on a jacket, and rushed frantically towards Olivia's apartment. By the time I arrived, the police were already there. The apartment was a mess. Even underwear was scattered everywhere. There were several empty beer bottles on the table. Glass shards were everywhere. We searched everywhere but didn't see anyone. Finally, we found Olivia in the bedroom closet. She had collapsed inside. Under her clothes, there was blood everywhere. Countless bruises on her arms and lower legs. Even her face was slashed and bloody. We quickly took Olivia to the hospital. Olivia was unconscious for a day and a night before she woke up. How are you doing? Feeling any better? Olivia opened her eyes and saw me, her tears streaming down in distress. I'm sorry, Cousin Eleanor. I should have listened to you back then. I gently wiped the tears from her eyes with a tissue and comforted her softly. It's okay. Can you tell me what happened? Right after we got married, I found out he was cheating on me. I tried to talk to him nicely, to get him to stop, but he kept doing it again and again. He even brought the other woman home. I was so angry, I argued with him a little. He'd been drinking and started hitting me. He even used glass shards to slash my face over and over. My face wouldn't stop bleeding. The more Olivia spoke, the more agitated she became, her tears falling like a string of broken pearls, splashing onto my hand. I squeezed her hand and held her close. It's okay. It's all over now. Things will get better. Later, the police searched for 3 days before finding Dylan near the garbage dump. They said he was disheveled and dirty, afraid to go home to avoid the police search. Penniless, he ate garbage for 3 whole days. The moment he was arrested, he was like a madman, holding a broken glass bottle, muttering, "Don't arrest me. I didn't kill her." In a fit of rage, Aunt Sarah took Dylan to court. Dylan's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Miller, heard about it and rushed back from their hometown, kneeling before Aunt Sarah in front of everyone, begging her to drop the lawsuit. They clung to Aunt Sarah's sleeve, crying piteously, "For the sake of our families, please let Dylan go this one time." Aunt Sarah didn't say a word. She took them to the ICU. Inside, Olivia was lying in bed. Her face was covered in bandages, with only a space left for her to breathe. Dylan's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Miller, instantly fell silent and left on their own. Later, Aunt Sarah used all her connections to dig up all the terrible things Dylan had done over the years, whether it was robbery, extortion, or sexual assault. Even if Dylan was smooth-talking in court, he couldn't say a word in the face of solid evidence. In the end, the court sentenced Dylan to 3 to 10 years in prison. Before he went to prison, Olivia saw him one last time. She was completely covered with a hat, mask, and sunglasses. But even like that, Dylan still recognized her. Dylan lay on the sofa, staring intently at Olivia, as if he saw through her disguise, a twisted smile on his face. "Getting to this point, do you have any regrets?" Olivia asked, still holding on to a sliver of hope. "Regrets? My life has no regrets. I thought you were prepared from the moment you saw me with other women. I didn't expect you were still so naive. You even came looking for me after the car accident, with all those injuries on your head." "Olivia, you're pretty stupid." Dylan grinned, as if laughing at Olivia's foolishness. Olivia didn't get worked up like she usually would. She sat there calmly, facing Dylan's mockery. But the moment Dylan was led away, a line of clear tears streamed down, unstoppable. I patted her shoulder, he was never a good man. Your love blinded you, putting a filter on him and clouding your judgment. But we still have a chance. Even though you took the wrong path, adjusting your direction in time means you won't keep going the wrong way. Epilogue. After a year recovering at home, Olivia decided to repeat her senior year. Aunt Sarah was fully supportive of this. After all, with her previous academic performance, she wouldn't get into anything less than a top-tier university. Giving up her studies completely because of this would have been a real tragedy for her life. But her face never fully recovered. The wounds turned into scars. Makeup couldn't cover them. Every time she went out, she had to be fully covered just to see people. But things never go as planned. Not long after starting, Olivia's grades were at the top again. She became the object of everyone's envy once more. But the brighter the halo, the less privacy you have. Within a month, the mistakes she made and the things she did when she was 18 were dug up for everyone to see. Everyone envied her, but they also mocked and slandered her. Even though Olivia didn't say anything, she was deeply bothered by it. She was just putting on a brave face. It wasn't until only a month before the college entrance exams that Olivia became severely depressed and dropped out. Every day she locked herself in her room, pulling the curtains shut, staring blankly at the window, and laughing foolishly. Like she was crazy. She was supposed to have a brilliant future. But there are no do-overs in life. Sometimes, taking the wrong path really is a lifelong consequence.